guys, Ron here, and once again, it's time to strip these Pokemon of their types and slap on new ones. You guys know by now that instead of swapping Pokemon into random types that obliterate the entire design and concept of a Pokemon, I'm going to design these type swap Pokemon as if they were also regional variants. Perhaps they belong to a future region I'm developing. I don't know. I'm not telling. I'm going to make sure to give these type-swapped regional forms backstories and make them actually work in the Pokemon world. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoy so I know to make part 8, and check out the last part of this series where I made Hisuian forms like Ice Dwebble and Flying-type Shiftry. So for a long time I thought it would be interesting if there was an ugly Milotic. What if there was a Feebas that lived in polluted water and never had the motivation and confidence to be beautiful? They would evolve into a water-dark type Milotic that hates everything. Milotic is the tender Pokemon, while this regional form will be aggressive and rival Gyarados. I'll base it on the Oarfish, which is the supposed origin of Milotic, but the Oarfish is clearly not as attractive as Milotic, so I always thought that it was odd that we didn't have a more accurate Oarfish Pokemon. I mean, since the art of most regional forms have the exact angle as the original art, I will be tracing for the foundation. I mean, this Pokemon is literally a Milotic, so we'll start out by laying out the normal serpentine body. But we'll give it an angry Feebas eye. Basically, what if it was ugly inside and out? Retaining some of Feebas's attributes like a head fin, the antennas will be less elegant and look more like coral. And to nail the look, I will have a fish-like jaw and underbite. Now it's coming together. I originally wanted the hair-like fins to be wavy, but it was honestly overboard and too complicated. It's gonna have straight hair, but it will be less saturated. It'll have a tail like Feebas, and one of the things that made Milotic so beautiful in the first place, its patterns, will be far less stylish, just spots at this point, and some uglier gills borrowed from Feebas and an Oarfish. And the colors are going to be slicker, less saturated versions of its original color scheme, maybe a bit more tropical looking as well. Colors it would have in real life. Here is Milotic, the Heartless Pokemon, a water dark type. It evolves from Feebas, who live in the polluted waters of a specific region's river, when traded holding the lackluster scale. The most aggressive Feebas must compete for resources and become hardened in a harsh environment that transforms them into jaded Milotics. It is very hostile and will even feud with Gyarados. They stir up trouble wherever they go and seek revenge on those who ridiculed them when they were once Feebas. This Pokemon releases a menacing aura that unsettles those that approach it. Humans are compelled to despise this Pokemon. Its scales trap light, and their skin is particularly tough. The more antisocial they are, the paler they become. It is believed that the root of this Pokemon's anger is jealousy, especially when encountering beautiful Milotic from other regions. Deep down, they wish they were loved. A trainer that can truly fall in love with this Milotic will be able to utilize this Pokemon's power for good. It has the original ability called Strange Scale, which boosts its special defense when inflicted with a status condition. Status condition, you know. Unnerve and Contrary are its other abilities. What's funny is that this Pokemon is still very appealing to me. I didn't want to make it too ugly because then it would not be appealing to train and wouldn't look like a Milotic at all anymore. And this is still just a regional form. It's simply not as beautiful as Milotic. I would definitely still use this, maybe even over Gyarados. Now, more than 3 years ago, I made a video or two redesigning some Pokemon as if they were more accurate to their origins. Don't watch it. Some of them look really bad. But it got me thinking, what if Pikachu was just some normal mouse? But since these are regional forms, and I gotta make sure these don't come off as an entirely new Pokemon, what if I made an original Pikachu? A normal type Pikachu that doesn't have the electric sacs on its cheeks, but can still shock opponents using the literal static electricity trapped in its fur. It'll be a cream-colored fluffy Pikachu. I'll take some inspiration from rabbits, squirrels, field mice, the original Pikachu sprites, and Alolan Raichu. I have to make sure it's still adorable, yet not just a color-swapped Pikachu. So I'm going to first draw Pikachu as the skeleton for our fluffier Pikachu. Its tail will be swirlier instead of jagged like a lightning bolt. I was experimenting with giving it whiskers. The question that will remain with me for the entire process will be whether or not to remove the cheek circles, because even if it doesn't have the sacs in its cheeks, it could still have the pattern. I also tried to add designs on its face to make it look more like real woodland creatures like chipmunks, but it never fit. And originally the plan was to give it a separate neck fur, but it ruined the perfect proportions of Pikachu's iconic face. The ears were pretty much the shape I wanted them to be, but the fur looked too distracting, so I went with the spikier route. Its face is all staticky, but now it looks too similar to the average Pikachu, so after a ton of experimentation and frustration, I decided on this design, but ultimately the final design will be done off-screen over the course of a few hours, because it was very tough trying to make a design as good as the original Pikachu. The color scheme was satisfying though. It's very soothing and even appetizing, almost like ice cream, but again, not the final look. Here is Normal-type Pikachu, the mouse Pokemon. Scientists believe that this is the original form of Pikachu. These Pikachu have no electric sacs in their cheeks, but are able to harness the static electricity that is trapped in their fur. Their thick coat gives them warmth in the winter and repels prey. They are slightly more aggressive than Cantonian Pikachu and will attack by biting and headbutting their foe, but when unthreatened, these Pokemon are incredibly friendly. It is believed that they're even more intelligent than the average Pikachu, since they rely on their own skills to survive instead of electric moves. They have the abilities Static and Fur Coat. There's not much to say considering it's a normal type Pokemon, it doesn't really do much, but it's pretty cool to see a Pikachu that isn't fantastical and magical. It's just this cute little guy. I struggled finding a way to make it appealing and without implementing elements that Pikachu already had, and I was scared of deviating too much from the most beloved Pokemon in existence, but hey, we all know I'm not good enough to make a design that rivals Pikachu, so it's fine if it's just a good design instead of one of the best, like Pikachu. Now what if I reimagined an entire line of Pokemon? It's a pretty common idea for artists to make Trevenant based on cherry blossom trees, and a spring version of Trevenant's pretty neat, but how would I change the typing? I mean, it's still going to be a grass type, it's a tree, so how about I replace the ghost typing with the fairy typing? Instead of a dead phantom that traps children, how about we make a version of the Trevenant line that are based on forest nymphs? Various woodland creatures like Ents from Lord of the Rings, who actually help trainers and Pokemon trapped in the forest. I'll also turn Phantom into this happy and mischievous child that is based on a satyr, and Trevenant into this jolly and wise tree that guides lost travelers. Its stump will literally be the same, but its face is clearly happy and will have an actual wooden body instead of a spirit possessing the stump. I'm going to split the body into two segments so it looks more like a satyr, with a human top and goat-like bottom. It'll have sakura petals on its branches and on top of its head like hair. The wood of its stump will be darker because it's alive and full of water. Now legs look like hooves, and the design is more reminiscent of a satyr. Here is Phantom, the stump Pokemon, a fairy grass type. According to legend, these Pokemon possess the spirit of festivals held in forests of a specific region. These forest Pokemon are constantly giggling. They love pulling pranks and eating fresh fruit. The flowers that bloom on Phantom can be used to create deliciously sweet desserts and treats. They will unintentionally leave a trail of petals which they can always follow back home. If a child becomes lost in the forest, Phantom will reveal themselves and begin to play with them. They prefer if the child stays in the forest as long as possible, but will show their new friends the way out once the sun begins to set. They have the abilities Natural Cure and Serene Grace, and the hidden ability Harvest. I love taking a Pokemon with a grim backstory and subverting it in the lore of their regional form, so finally we have a Pokemon that prevents the demise of children instead of creating more ghost-type phantoms. Now we'll make that Trevenant. The tree part is relatively similar but with a happier expression. Now it finally has full head of hair, cherry blossoms modeled after the flowers of Florges. You'll notice that instead of pointy body parts like teeth and claws, it's more blunt and square shaped. It doesn't have creepy spider legs, but rather 3 relatively normal legs. Still creepy though, but it will be a challenge to find a balance between roots and legs. The colors are exactly what you'd expect, very beautiful, and if you were wondering, what you saw was a female. The males have a beard, like this, obviously inspired by Treebeard from Lord of the Rings. Check out Fairy-type Trevenant. They can only be found during the spring. This festive Pokemon guides wandering travelers outside of the forest. When those who harmed the forest reveal themselves, Trevenant will blast them with scented petals that overwhelm their senses, leaving them unconscious. When these evildoers wake up, they are wrapped in vines at the border of the forest. The sweet berries that grow on Trevenant can sustain hundreds of woodland Pokemon for the entire spring. This Pokemon greets humans who enter the forest to plant trees during their springtime festivals. Humans offer presents to Trevenant to show their gratitude during the final week of spring. Nobody knows where these Pokemon go when summer begins. Those who have gotten lost during the summer have said that they were led out of the forest by a breeze of petals. Honestly, I still don't know if these Pokemon exist alongside Ghost-type Trevenant who appear during the summer and leave when spring arrives, or simply that they just live in a location where Ghost Trevenant don't exist. Either way, a good addition to the Pokedex. And the last one we're going to make today is technically not a regional form. We're going to make an electric-type Simi. A Simi Spark, or Simi Shock, or Simi Surge. Now the Simis are based on the 3 wise monkeys and various Japanese delinquents. For example, Simi Sage is based on Speak No Evil, but the design of a Yankee. Japanese punks that are very rowdy and known for cursing all the time, thus speaking evil. So we have Speak No Evil, Hear No Evil, and See No Evil, and when a 4th monkey is depicted, it's usually Do No Evil and sometimes Smell No Evil. I'll try to combine both of these concepts, but the problem is Smell No Evil will likely mean I have to draw this Pokemon covering its nose, but that would obscure its face. And the monkey that does no evil is usually covering its crotch, which would not be realistic for a Pokemon, or I could make it cross its arms, but honestly that would look goofy considering the Simis have noodly arms and giant hands. I'll see what I can do. The only thing I'm sure about is that this electric type Simi will be based on punk rockers and will have a mohawk. It seems natural. The idea of this Pokemon was already solidified from the beginning. Simi face with a mohawk and a fun expression. I had to find a facial pattern that other Simis don't have. I originally had this patch of fur above the nose to indicate smell no evil, and when it came to the body, the collar will resemble the collar of a leather jacket as well as lightning. It's both a punk rocker and a glam rocker, so it has a design that makes it look like it's wearing a unitard. The sign it's making with its hands was tough to come up with. In the end, it will be holding up 2 hand signs that signal love, which makes sense for do no evil, even though this Pokemon is relatively naughty. It also looks similar to the rock and roll hand sign. The rest was as you expect, yellow colors with some white, very consistent with the other Simis. Take a look at Simisurge, the shocking Pokemon. This Pokemon is able to send electrical currents into the bodies of others to make them move. When it gets excited, it will unleash a barrage of electricity that will make those around it dance. Simisurge has unrivaled energy. It will shoot electricity from its fingertips at different frequencies based on how many fingers it extends. It will challenge Toxtricity to tests of strength, but they will usually end up bonding over their shared love of music. They have the abilities Gluttony and a new ability called Surge. It's actually Blaze for electric types, so it boosts electric type moves when this Pokemon is in trouble. This looks exactly like what an electric Simi would look like. I'm satisfied with how realistic it looks. I mean, it fooled thousands of people when I posted a sneak peek of it on Twitter. In the end, the patch above its nose represents smell no evil, but also, along with its nose, looks like an exclamation mark. But I hope you enjoyed these creations. Perhaps enough to leave a like and subscribe for more videos like these. Make sure to check out the Combine podcast Birdkeeper Toby and I started, links in the description, as well as my Twitter and Instagram where I will post final full artwork of these from time to time. And check the description for the music I used, the t-shirts I made for you guys, and my Patreon where you can get cool rewards like seeing my videos days early, or click the join button for the same rewards. Bye!